You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
All hail the New York Giants!
Oh, I don't think so.
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam with your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is indeed your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome one and all to a very special giant edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world talking about your Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained, you are enthralled, and you are enlightened as we discuss the upcoming game for your defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks against the New York Giants. So sit back, relax, grab a giant beverage or sin of your choice, and remember, nothing is easy, so suck it up, Buttercup. As is the usual with every show, we are not alone. No, I am joined, as I am every episode, by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. First is our news hound. You can find his 12th Man editorials on SeahawksSal.com. He is a giant in the news world. He is Shadowhawk Will. Hi, Will.
Moses, how goes it?
It goes as good. How goes it you?
It goes, my friend. It goes.
And it shall go. And we shall go to our next person. From the state of Washington also. His tailgating before games is a giant thing of urban legend and beauty. We know him as Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. So is nobody tonight the yin to your yang, or I'm not sure how this works?
Well, the yin to my yang is temporarily disposed of. From Merry Old England, Matt, if you're listening right now, Matt is temporarily not here for the moment, but
he's a little yinged out.
We're starting an hour later. I bet Doctor Who's on.
Yeah, I bet he's sleeping. So shh, Matt's sleeping.
Wake up, Matt.
So we'll be quiet when Matt's around. Also, from the state of California, and just up the road from 49er headquarters, our own man behind enemy lines, he gets giant amusement from 49er suffering. You know him as Zorn76. We know him as Statsman Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hello, everybody, and it's nice. It's a nice change of pace not to have the torches and pitchforks outside of my house, but that of Jim Harbaugh's in Menlo Park.
Oh, I bet the torches and pitchforks are going on sale over there, aren't they?
They are, and they have a make-or-break game Sunday in New Orleans.
Yeah, we might talk a little bit about that later.
How's the tar and feather market working? Looking good?
It's gone from a penny stock to a blue chip.
Oh, we love it when it happens, San Francisco.
Have to look into that.
The way nature intended.
Exactly. All is right with the world. In fact, all is so right. Before we do the intros, I want to take a personal note here. Today's Little Mo's birthday. My son, who had
Happy birthday, Little Mo.
Little Mo.
Happy birthday.
The big 09. And he's very excited. Of course, he wore his road Marshawn Lynch jersey to school because it was his birthday.
Nice.
So here's a picture of him right there with all of his presents and all of his glory for today. Gonna be a big weekend for him. He's having a bunch of friends over. They're gonna watch football all night Saturday, and of course Seahawks on Sunday. So big weekend. Happy birthday, Little Mo. But before we
Happy birthday, Mo.
And before we get into the show, let's tell you how the show works. For those who've listened to this show before, thank you for joining us again. For those who are listening for the very first time, don't worry. We promise we'll be gentle. But be careful. The show is giant this week, so you want to be careful with that. Very big giant theme. Here's how the show run. In the first quarter, we're going to have our Shadowhawk Will with the news. In the second quarter, we will talk about last week's victory over the Oakland Raiders. At the end of the 2-minute warning right before halftime, we will talk about our predictions, our prognostications, and our game balls. And we'll let you know how that went and how we did on our predictions. We did very well this week, gentlemen. Quarter three, halftime, of course. Before we get to the third quarter, we have halftime. And halftime this week is, yes, the return of wonderful, fabulous 12th Man Fan Jam trivia. Halftime trivia game that you can play along with right along on your YouTube channel while you're watching this video. So look forward to that. Quarter 3 is, of course, the Seahawk news that is pertinent to our game coming up against the Giants. And, of course, quarter 4, we will talk about that game a little bit, make our predictions, our prognostications, and our game balls. So, without further ado, let's get right into the first quarter with news. Yes, news that fell through the cracks because you were too busy trying to figure out who to vote for. It is our Shadowhawk, Will. Will, what do you have for us this evening, sir?
Well, Moses, I have a few stories, but I would be remiss in pointing out that little Mo is not the only one with a birthday coming up this weekend.
Oh, really?
My oldest niece, Lydia, will be turning 14.
Well, happy birthday, Lydia. That's the kids.
Absolutely.
The kids
Love
are
her
here,
Beetlejuice.
the kids dig birthdays. So there you go. Happy birthday, Lydia. Well said. Well said. The big 1-4. Is she dating anybody yet that you know, Will?
If she is, I can kill him.
All right. Good enough. Well said. Happy birthday, Lydia.
So, going on with the news, Hall of Famer Howie Long has a jersey being auctioned up by an outfit called Heritage Auctions, and it has a little something extra involved. According to Darren Rovell of ESPN.com, the auction house has a game-worn Howie Long jersey that allegedly has metal pebbles sewn under the numbers. Apparently to make things difficult for offensive linemen. Long, of course, is denying that he ever did anything like that to a Raider jersey, saying it's just bizarre, it's just also ridiculous. But the jersey is currently bidding at $3,000, so if you want a Howie Long jersey with authentic metal pebbles under the numbers, get your bid in quickly.
Dustin, you coach Pee Wee. Do you put metal pebbles under the numbers?
I cannot confirm nor deny that. However,
oh, man.
whoever wants to pay $3,000 for that jersey, if they want to authenticate metal being in it, they can pay me the $3,000 and give my profession. I have access to X-ray machines,
Indeed
and
you do.
I will take an X-ray of said jersey just to verify. So,
all right. So if you're out there and you want to spend $3,000 on a jersey, we've got the guy to X-ray it for you to make sure it's legit. Can someone explain to me why that would be an advantage? I don't understand.
it sounds like a Kevin Hart joke. Like if there's metal in those numbers and like whatever, you got to say it with your chest. So you attack them with your chest. Maybe that has an advantage with the metal. Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would think that would hurt the guy wearing the jersey more than the guy trying to block him.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Zorn, would you if you knew that, would you tell the offensive lineman to go out with little magnets and try dragging around the field?
Well, that is just too bizarre. I mean, I don't even know what to make of that. That's way over my head.
They did do weird stuff back in the 70s and 80s before the league crackdown. I was hearing John Clayton talk earlier this afternoon, talking about how when head slaps used to be legal, offensive linemen would file down the little metal clasps on their chin straps to a razor's edge.
Oh,
so if anybody slapped the side of their head, they'd cut themselves on the chin strap. So
God, it's like a horror film all of a sudden.
Oh no, see, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But on the numbers or your name,
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Unless he thought like the guy would hold him and like his ring would get stuck on him, and then it would be like two kids who have braces that kiss and they can't come apart, and you're stuck on them or something. I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a comic book nerd thing where you're trying to get him to believe how awesome it is because there's metal. Like, oh man, his jersey's like Wolverine skeleton. I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't understand it. Oh my God, it's almost like and you could see that like that scene in Spinal Tap. The scene in Spinal Tap where they keep going through the check-in at the airport, and he keeps going off, and he winds up having to take aluminum foil out of his pants, and he had a cucumber in his pants, and so. But this is like Howie Long. He like finally has to take his jersey off because there's metal in his jersey or something. I don't know.
That's just weird.
It's weird. What, you got another weird story for us, Will? That was pretty weird.
Well, Moses, you know what I like to read about?
Porn?
Who doesn't?
No.
Oh.
No. I like to read about players who shoot their mouths off and live to regret it.
Hmm.
Well, I would have guessed porn, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you, but
A completely different kind of shooting off, dude.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, here we go.
well, there are several members of the Cincinnati Bengals squad who are eating a little bit of crow today, or should be, after their big loss Thursday night to the Browns. One of which was former Browns receiver Greg Little, who said that hopefully I will make the Browns pay when I play them this week, because, of course, Cleveland cut him.
Mm-hmm.
And also went on about how he didn't get along with Browns coach Mike Pettin. Quote, "You'll walk past him in the hallway and he won't even speak to you. To have that kind of relationship with a coach is kind of odd."
Poor guy.
Little, however, would go on to have a very big game. He caught one pass and got a 15-yard penalty for headbutting a Browns defensive back. So, he didn't exactly make the Browns pay, but to his credit, he owned up and gave the Browns respect after the game. Teammate and running back Jeremy Lin, however, needs to learn a lesson from that. Because after Jeremy Hill, after Hill rushed for only 55 yards, after Hill rushed for only 55 yards against Cleveland, he had this to say: "They're probably worse than I thought, to be honest with you. They didn't do anything special to me. Those guys, they're not that good. It was on us Thursday. We gave them the game, in my opinion. They didn't do anything special.
Yeah, what was the score?
We just gave them the game.
27-3 or something, right?
Yep.
Okay, you gave an awful lot. That was very generous of you.
Well, they wanted to take care of any December Christmas birthday presents, as well as Christmas, and then apparently some Thanksgiving presents. Maybe that team does that. I don't know.
Hey, Will, what was the name of the guy that said the coach didn't speak to him?
That was receiver Greg Little, formerly of the Browns.
Greg Little. You're about to be in for a treat, because I'm going to now recreate. This is Greg Little walking down the hallway, trying to talk to Coach. Coach? Coach? Hey, Coach? Why won't you look at me, Coach? Coach? I love you, Coach! Why won't you look at me or talk to me? I'm doing my best. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Thank you.
Tip your waitress.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Please, please. That's my reenactment of Greg Little. Right there. And you got that for free, by the way. You know, I don't charge. So be happy that you got that for free. Mark,
okay, then.
Mark, your review of my performance.
In a performance that was scrum-trulescent, I loved it.
I thought it was craptacular. All right. Will, what else you got for us this evening?
Well, Falcons' second round draft choice, Rashid Hageman, has made quite an impact in his rookie year, only not the one he really wanted to have. Previously, Hageman was best known for punching a player in training camp live during an episode of HBO's Hard Knocks and breaking his hand.
Love that show.
However, he topped that performance recently when responding to a girl on Instagram asking question, "You smoke weed?" The girl's response, "Why you ask?" "Rashid, my teammates were looking for some."
Oh, God.
On Instagram?
Yes.
You've got to be kidding me, dude.
Nope, I've got the screenshot right here. And
Nice.
Falcons coach Mike Smith says that he has talked to Rashid Hageman about the incident. Hageman is saying that his account was hacked.
Of course it was.
Of course.
That really
Poor
didn't work
guy.
for Anthony Weiner, I have to say.
Oh, God. Larry
Or
Hagman.
Brett
huh?
Favre.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Rashid Hageman, yep.
Rashid Hagman. I actually have a reenactment of Rashid Hagman asking for weed. It goes something like this. "Hey, you got any weed? Talk to me. Don't be like a coach in Cleveland. I'm just looking for weed for the whole team. We're all looking for weed. Please, somebody, won't you give us weed? Thank you very much. I will still be here all week.
See, you missed the opportunity to do that with Howie Long, too.
Yeah, I didn't do the Howie Long thing, but
Okay.
Rashid Hageman looking for weed, and I love his. We're all looking for weed. Like every Atlanta player has to get on Instagram because they can't find anywhere else to get weed.
Ludacris is right there in Atlanta, throwing it
Right?
out there. I'm pretty sure he would hook him up.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Mark, have you ever looked for anything on Instagram?
Well, not lately, but I like how he went to Instagram to look for a price of $20 per gram. So that was kind of convenient.
Makes sense now that you say
Oh,
that.
it comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yep.
That's
like the Lion
beautiful.
King.
Yeah. Yeah, the circle of life. Instagram, and then grams for, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of grams, as we've come full circle, Will, thank you again for another wonderful edition of the news.
Anytime.
And we're going to take a quick break. We're at the end of the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
And we will come back right after this quick station identification with the second quarter of your 12th Man Fan Jam, where we talk about last week's game, the victory against the Oakland Raiders. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Well, I hear all that. What is an internet?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you again, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Welcome back to the second quarter of a special giant edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. We are so glad you are here with us. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity, and of course I'm alongside my 12th Man Fan Jam posse, which is Dustin, Shadowhawk Will, and Statsman Mark. We're going to talk a little bit about this Raider game from last week. You know, everyone thought it was going to be kind of a blowout for the Seahawks. They were missing a significant amount of starters, and so we'll just kind of talk a little bit about that, and then the second 2-minute warning right before halftime, we'll talk about our picks from last week. So I'm going to start with Mark. Mark, what are your overall impressions of this game against the Raiders? Were you upset that they only won by 6? Were you thankful for the win? What was your view coming out of that game?
Well, a win's a win, so I'll take it. Unfortunately, I chose not to bet the first half of the game, but rather the game in its entirety, and Seattle didn't cover a 15-point spread.
Aww. So you're calling from like the poorhouse right now.
Well, you know, as always, the win supersedes any kind of money, and
Of course.
But no, I was it was interesting to see a really good first half, because in some games this year we played terribly in the first, much better in the second. This was a great first half, followed up by kind of a lackluster third, and I never felt we were going to lose the game at all, but I just want to see a complete 4 quarters here at home, obviously this Sunday. But a win's a win, and we really needed it, and we're in a pretty good spot right now.
Yes, we certainly are. Will, 24-3 at halftime, my house was pretty happy. And then we sobered up rather quickly. It just seemed like we let the Raiders hang around a little bit, did we not?
The kids did now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And again, special teams came back to bite us, just like it did in the Rams game. I mean, you had that block punt that gave him a touchdown, made it 24-10. He had the short punt on the next possession that gave them the ball at Seattle's 30 and set up their next touchdown drive. But, it was crazy. I remember looking out there and thinking, okay, the left side of our offensive line right now is Alvin Bailey, Gary Gilliam, and Patrick Lewis. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to laugh. You have to laugh. And Dustin, I know that we sat here, I think last week or the week before, and said we would rather, given a choice between the defense up by 4 with 2 minutes to go or the offense down by 4 with 2 minutes to go, we would have taken the offense. But the offense in the second half really seemed to sputter a little bit, didn't they, Dustin?
Yeah, outside of the 2-minute offense, they looked pretty confused. And on the mic'd up session this week, even Russell Wilson seemed confused. There's a clip where him and Darrell Bevel are sitting there talking, and Russell's like, "What am I doing wrong? I don't understand what's happening." And that was the first time you'd ever seen Russell in that situation where he doesn't know what to correct and what to do. And it was just, man, it was so weird because my buddy Jeff, he was up in his section. He started texting me. He's like, "Who the hell is this starting center this week?" Lewis's last name. I was like, "Man, I've never heard of that guy. I don't know." And then on the screen in the stadium, we got in there really early, and they showed Unger was dressed up, looked like he was ready to roll, and Schilling was hooked up, ready to roll. Looked like. So I texted him. I was like, "Man, they just showed those dudes on the in stadium feed, so I'm pretty sure we're good. Don't even sweat it." And then neither one of them played until really late in the game, and they put Schilling in there because there was nobody on the offensive line that knew what the hell they were doing. So that was
well,
dude, go ahead.
It was my impression on TV, the beginning of the game, that those guys were dressed, but they were dressed because after Lewis there was nobody. So they were still both a little gimped up. So they were both dressed. So I kind of tempered my excitement because when they said that on TV, of course you didn't hear that, but it sounded to me like they were just dressed because after Lewis we'd have to go with a broken Unger or a broken Schilling.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. Like I said, I was in the stadium probably an hour early, and I didn't realize that. So when Pete Carroll had his press conference, he's like, "Yeah, we want to start this guy," and we didn't want to put Schilling in there, but we felt like we needed to because we need the experience of the third string center because Sweezy was the only starter in there. I started to realize how bad our depth was that game and how many issues we were having, man. I'm so glad they walked. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of sad that the veteran option in that game was a journeyman offensive lineman we picked up in the offseason who had never played center before coming to Seattle.
Sad but true. Sad but true. Mark, so are you more excited about the gritty win, or are you more concerned about, wow, we only beat the Raiders by 6?
Well, again, when I had to pay off the bookie, I realized we only won by 6. But it just means less money for the church for the next few months.
10% gets less and less every time you lose money, so it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking into to see if there's a tax write-off there, but we got the win. This team right now, every win just puts it that much closer to the magic number of 10. I think you need 10 wins this year to get into the playoffs. Against Carolina, to me that was the season. Going back a few weeks, we had to win that game. If we fell, it was just going to be very tough. And now we have the Giants. I know we'll get to that later, but yeah, a win's a win, and they're hard to get. And Oakland is they play hard. They don't play smart, but they do play hard, and anything's possible.
Will, this team is so beat up. I mean, it was almost looking like an exhibition game out there because there were so many players that we didn't know, or we didn't expect to be playing significant time against the Raiders. Is this a really positive sign to see this team win because there were so many people out?
I think it is. I mean, I think you can't get too high over the win or too low over the fact that it was closer than I think any of us really wanted to see. But we're getting a lot of guys who are getting a lot of playing time, and some are doing a better job than others of rising to the occasion, and that's going to happen. But getting these guys experience is not the worst thing in the world, and we're lucky that it's happening now when we've got a 2-game stretch of winnable home games before we go on the road to Kansas City, and then the real brutal part of the schedule kicks in. So we're actually lucky that even though it's going to be rough playing all those divisional games at the end of the year, we're lucky we haven't had more to date already, because if we had to play Arizona or San Francisco as beat up as we were, we'd probably lose. And if we had a couple of divisional losses at this point in the season, we'd pretty much just have to play for the wild card.
Very true. The Cardinals, I think, are for real, and I think they're going to be hard to catch. One final note, Dustin. This experience a good thing for these guys that are on the bench coming out, or is this going to help us, say, week 13, week 14, as we heal, as we get better, as our starters get back healthy? Because a lot of them, and we'll talk about this in the third quarter, but we are getting some of them back this week, and it sounds like we are going forward on the injuries, which is good news. Is this going to be something we say, man, I'm glad we got that experience in week 13 and 14?
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are growing pains. And I don't think it's just the offensive line. I mean, we have the young guys on the offensive line out there, no experience, but by the virtue of starting these games and playing these games, they're better. And if they're better, our team is better. And then you look at Richardson and Norwood and guys that haven't had as much experience. They're out there, they're playing games, and they're getting better. And then you look at Brock Coyle, and he's out there playing. I mean, all around the young guys, they're getting out there, they're playing, they're learning things that they wouldn't see if they were not involved in the game. And that makes the team that much better when the starters and the guys, the more tenured players come back and assume their roles again. When they come back, our team overall is better because of the experience these other guys are having. And that's how you win championships, to be honest with you. It's the overall experience. And we have, right now, a lot of experience in positions that we didn't expect to have experience in.
I agree. And there's a lot of football left to be played. Speaking of this Raider game, let's go to a 2-minute warning and let's look at our picks.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
We did very well, actually, with our picks. Now, not so much the score. There's the score in front of you right now. I had 34-10, Will 28-13, Matt 31-3, and Dustin 27-6. The score was 30-24, so I think Will was the closest there. So congratulations, Will, on that. And you win, of course, the 12th Man Fan Jam home game, which is a broken headset. As we go to our prognostications, we did extremely well. Everyone did well here. I called for a defensive score, and good old Bruce Irvin. Interception return for a touchdown. He had me covered. Will said either Sherman or Thomas would get an interception, and of course, Sherman did, so Will hit that as well. Matt said Lynch would have 122 yards and a touchdown. He actually overall had 143 total yards and 2 touchdowns. So very well done by Matt. And then
a caveat to that, though.
Yes.
4 penalties when he had touches, 78 yards pulled back. So he had even more than that.
Well said. Well said. But Dustin went with a Christine Michael touchdown. That didn't happen. So sorry, Dustin. But everybody else did real well on our prognostications. As far as the game balls, I had Baldwin, Will had Wilson, Matt had Lynch, and Dustin had Coyle. And I think if we gave out a game ball, I think that would probably go to Lynch. Is there any argument about that?
Nope.
No.
Yeah. So congratulations, Matt, on that. You get some Sominex so you can sleep better. And
I don't think he needs that.
Get that man a cup of coffee so he'll wake up.
No doubt. Starbucks gift card, something.
Matt is sleeping. Matt's sleeping. So, Matt, when you wake up, you'll find out you did very well on your game ball, and you did pretty well on your prognostication, but your score sucked. Okay, so that will take us to halftime.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Yes, it is almost halftime. Time for our play-along halftime trivia game with the Giants theme, of course. The posse will play for fabulous prizes chosen especially for them, Dustin, Will, and Mark. We'll take a quick break here for station identification, and then we'll have some fun playing some 12th Man Fan Jam halftime trivia.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12th Man Fan Halftime Trivia. Yes, with your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me. And welcome to a special New York Giants edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia, the trivia game that checks the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. So let's meet the contestants, shall we? First, he's from sunny California. Yes, where the 49er fans can't seem to fill the new stadium. He is our statsman, Mark. Welcome to Halftime Trivia, Mark.
Hello, everybody, and I just want to say that this is the first time I've been conspicuously absent last week after a win instead of a loss for the show.
Very true. Very true. Well said. Also, we have our news hound and trivia buff, also from the state of Washington. Also from the lovely state of Washington, he is Shadowhawk Will.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Always insisting on hearing the Sammy Hagar theme from a movie about arm wrestling. Winner takes it all.
Over the top.
Over the
It
top.
worked before.
And you know that song is over the top, but that's all right. We love Sammy anyway. And finally, we have from the beautiful state of Washington. He's small in stature but large in brains.
And Billy.
There you go. It's Dustin. Say hi, Dustin.
Hi, Dustin.
All right. All right, little Oompa Loompa for you there.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
I need a better song. Better song.
I tried last week. I tried to give you, or last time. Yeah. Well, see, we could do the Smurfs. All right. Anyway, let's press on, shall we? Here's how you play the game. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant will answer 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get a point. And after 2 rounds of questions, there will be a final trivia question for everybody. That trivia question is worth 2 points. After that, if there is a tie, then the tied players go on to the special secret overtime question, where the winner indeed does take it all. Now, the questions and possible answers will be displayed right here on the screen, so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well if you wish. And if you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Again, there's no Googling, there's no phone to friend, and please, guys, no wagering. However, there is one thing you can do. I had my wonderful children, Mosette and Little Mo. Mosette, of course, is the voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam, telling us when the quarters end and start. And, of course, Little Mo, the birthday boy. I had them each separately take the trivia question themselves. If you would like to hear what they answered, I will tell you before you answer if you want to listen to what the kids say. And I'll let you know what they answer.
Sweet, we get a lifeline.
Yeah, you get a lifeline of sorts. And if you don't, I will tell you how they did anyway. So I'm not going to tell you how they did unless, before you do that. But I'll tell you afterwards if they both got it right or wrong or whatever. So
all right.
This will be based on how you did on your prognostications and predictions. And we'll go first. Will, number between 1 and 4.
Number 3.
Will take number 3, and then Dustin?
I'll go 4.
Dustin will go 4, and that leaves Mark to go 1 or 2.
2.
2. Dustin goes 2. All right.
No, Dustin went 4.
Oh, I mean, Mark's going 2. How could I possibly confuse you two wonderful gentlemen? All right, are you ready? Here's your first question. It goes to Mark.
Yes,
Mark, what number did you want again, sir? 2?
2.
All right. In 1983 and 1986, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Giants by the same score. What was the score of both of these games? Was it 17-10, 17-12, or 17-14? Oh, Mark, you got some Oregon, buddy.
Oh, I got Oregon. And I love lamb.
You do love lamb. Are you just saying you love random things?
I love random things, especially scores from 31 and 28 years ago.
Yes.
Man, I feel old.
Let's see. I'm going to say, you know what? The oddball one, 17 to 12. I believe that's the second one you mentioned.
He went oddball, 17-12. And the answer is 17-12.
Nice job, dude.
And Mark is on the board.
I knew sobriety would pay off someday.
That day has finally arrived.
There it is. You got it. All right, Will. Question 3 goes to you. In 2005. Oh, by the way, both Mosette and Lil Mo missed that question, Mark. So you're smarter than some kids. Okay, Will. In 2005, how many false start penalties did the Giants have in Seattle? Was it 10, 11, or 12?
Oh, that's easy.
11.
Yep.
He says 11. You want a little Oregon to think about it?
No need for Oregon.
All right, he says 11. I'm pretty confident. That's probably the easiest question tonight. And guess what?
Yeah.
It's right. I was just teasing. It is 11.
I was gonna say I have pictures next to that game ball that Holmgren gave the team or gave the fans. So
yes, that's the one you
definitely
might
11.
actually have a chance to know tonight. And congratulations, Will, because you picked it randomly. Mosette got that right. Little Mo did not. He was pushing for 12. Of course, that's it's in his DNA. 12.
That would have been perfect if it had been 12.
Wouldn't have been. Dustin.
Yes, sir.
Your question is this.
Uh-huh.
The Seahawks have played the Giants 7 times in Seattle. How many of those have they won? 4, 5, or 6?
How many times have they played?
They played 7 times. Have they won 4, 5, or 6?
Man.
10?
No. I said, man, I remember when they got blown out a few years ago. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go 4.
He's going to go 4. He's going low. I'll tell you that both kids were wrong on this one. But you weren't.
Yeah.
It's 4. Wow! We just got a perfect score in round 1. Can you believe that?
Actually, yes.
That's amazing.
I think it's the first time ever.
I think so.
I'm more surprised by that because we're all really pretty smart. So.
All right. Well, let's see how you are in the second round. We'll do the same order then because everybody was even. Will 5 through 8.
I'll take 8.
All right. Dustin 5 through 7.
5.
Dustin will take 5 and 6 or 7. Mark.
7.
Mark takes 7. Okay. As you know, the second round questions are usually a little trickier. So let's see what we did here. The first question goes to Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin.
Sir.
Do I hear Googling? Is somebody Googling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No.
The musical group They Might Be Giants wrote and performed a theme song to what TV show? Malcolm in the Middle, Freaks and Geeks, or Seinfeld? They Might Be Giants performed a song for what TV show? Malcolm in the Middle, Freaks and Geeks, or Seinfeld?
Well, I would like to phone a kid.
You like the kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Mosette and Little Mo both said the same thing.
Okay.
They said Malcolm in the Middle.
Probably because that's the only one they knew.
Probably. They don't even know that. I just think they like the name of the show.
Ah.
Malcolm in the Middle, Freaks and Geeks, or Seinfeld. The kids said Malcolm in the Middle.
So I don't get to hear if they're right or wrong?
Oh, no. I just tell you what they answered.
Ah, okay.
Well, no. If I told you what they answered and it was right or wrong, that's a little easy, isn't it?
That's cheating.
That would help. So it was Malcolm in the Middle, Freaks and Geeks, and what was the other one?
Seinfeld. You know, boom, da-doom-doom-doom.
Yeah. I'm going to go with kids. I'm going with kids.
Oh, he's going with the kids. Oh, Dustin. The kids are right.
Yeah.
And Dustin we haven't had anybody miss anything yet. No pressure, guys. But, it's 2 to 1 to 1. I'm making them too easy for you guys. All right. Mark, here you go. How tall was Andre the Giant? Was he 7'4", 7'6", or 7'8"?
I know.
Andre the Giant. That'd take you back.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
to WrestleMania 3, brother.
How tall was Andre the Giant? That's my Andre the Giant.
I just
Sleep
remember.
well and dream of large women.
I just remember when he played Bigfoot fighting Steve Austin in the $6 Million Man.
Oh my God! See, the Princess Bride. That's when you think Andre the Giant, you think of Princess Bride. That's what I think of.
I think
Anybody got a
WrestleMania 3
peanut?
versus Hulk Hogan body slammed him.
I think of Oscar Goldman freaking out.
7'4", 7'6", or 7'8" are your options, by the way.
Okay, boy, I am going to say 7'4", the first one.
7'4", the first one. Mo said, and Little Mo said 7'8", by the way. And 7'4", though. That's all right.
Yep, I knew it.
Oh my gosh. It's been a perfect score tonight. We've never had that. Never. Will, no pressure.
Don't worry, I'll screw it up.
All right, here you go.
I just won another lamp.
Mark is out loving lamps. That's wonderful, Mark. Congratulations.
And
Wow.
consenting adults
Woo.
and furniture.
Yes, he's loving lamps, and we'll move on to the question. Give him a few moments himself. Will, in what year did the movie Little Giants come out?
Oh.
Was it 1993, 1994, or 1995? And Will, no pressure because everyone has gotten everything right up to this very last question. What year did the movie Little Giants come out? 1993, 1994, or 1995?
Pretty sure I know this one too.
I never saw Little Giants.
Rick Moranis.
Oh, yeah.
Al Bundy from
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. There you go. Icebox. Icebox was a stud-ette. Loved her.
Heck with it, 95.
He says 95. That's what Mosette said. And Little Mo said 93.
I'm going 94.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 94. He's right.
Yeah.
So here's where we're at. Mark has 2. Will has 1. And Dustin has 2. But do not panic, Will, because there is an overtime question worth 2 points.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it is possible. And it looks like there'll be no overtime tonight because somebody will win with 2 points. So we will do this like this. Overtime question, you get a number, and whoever's the closest without going over gets the 2 points. If everybody's over, whoever's closest to the number is our 2-point winner. And tonight, it looks like our grand champion. So here we go, gentlemen, and we will do it in the following order. We will start with, we will go Will, we will go Dustin, and we will go Mark. So here you go. In a 2006 home win against the Giants, 42-30, how many touchdown passes did Matt Hasselbeck throw in that game? 2006 home win against the Giants, 42-30. How many touchdowns did Matt Hasselbeck throw in that game? Will, what is your guess?
5.
Will says 5. Dustin?
4.
Dustin says 4. Mark?
Oh boy. Well, I guess I'll go with 3.
3, 4, and 5. In 2006, home win against the Giants. I was there, by the way. They won 42-30. And Matt Hasselbeck had 5 touchdown passes. And that means the winner takes it all, baby. Our halftime trivia champion this week is Will Shadowhawk. Will, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we'll send Hagar for you. The winner takes it all. We hope you've enjoyed your halftime trivia. We'll be back after this quick break. We're going to jam out the Sammy Hagar a little bit. And we'll come back in the third quarter. We'll actually go ahead and talk a little bit about the game coming up. We hope you enjoyed your halftime trivia, and we'll be right back after Sammy Hagar takes us out. Take us out, Sammy!
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Boy, the Giants suck. They really, really suck.
It's the third quarter, bitches.
Yes, welcome back to the second half of the 12th Man Fan Jam. If you're still with us after that stunning win by our Shadow Hawk Will. And
come from behind victory.
Yes, come from behind, and that is what she said. So, I said that's what she said. There you go. Okay. All right. Drummer was on vacation, but we're back. We're going to take some time and just talk about some Seahawk news before we go into fourth quarter and make our keys to the game and predictions. Really, the biggest news right now in Seahawk Nation is all of these injuries that we talked about in the second quarter, and all these players that played against the Raiders that had to because we were so beat up. And there is some good news. There is also some not so good news. But let's talk about the good news first. It looks like on the list right now, Byron Maxwell is listed as questionable along with Marcus Burley. You may say, well, that's not good news. But Byron looks like he's showing signs of coming back a little bit. Maxwell has kind of been a maybe all week, but Burley appears on the injury list for the first time. But that's okay because Jeremy Lane is back and playing, which is wonderful news because I think Jeremy Lane, is going to really help that defensive backfield.
Well, we've really missed him over the last several games. It's a testament to the kind of player that he's become that not having him in has had such a negative impact. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him running around out there again.
Something we didn't mention, Mark, in the first game, we're talking about Oakland. I have to say this because we really rode Thorold Simon hard in the Rams game, and probably rightfully so because he did some really boneheaded moves. But I felt like, and I don't know how you felt about it, Mark, but I thought he played very well against Oakland. Is that what you kind of felt?
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's nice to see a player, bounce back because you never know, confidence, how it's going to carry over. And he came off a poor game and played well against Oakland. And that was just a collective effort that was needed, especially in the second half when Oakland got momentum going.
I think the best quote about that whole thing was when they asked Pete Carroll about Thorold Simon, and he said, he made it through the game.
He certainly did. I thought he did well. I thought he played pretty well. A good game. He didn't really do anything out of the ordinarily crazy. I
no
thought he
dumb
covered
penalties.
very well. Yeah, and I thought he covered well. I can see why we talked about him kind of being a first-round talent with a 20th round head. I could kind of see that first-round talent a little bit in him. And I was actually quite honestly very encouraged by what I saw last week and thinking if this guy can stay away from the dumb penalties, we got a heck of a sleeper in our backfield.
Absolutely. And something else that came out from the press conferences from that, they were talking about how they don't have to throw on a guy to know how they performed. And he said that in the routes that he was covering, he actually performed very well, which was a positive sign. And then the one instance where he had a chance for an interception, he competed for the ball. He didn't get it, but he made sure that the receiver also didn't get it. So
yes.
Those are all positive things. So you got to work with it, build on it,
Very, very, very happy. Now, some more happy news, probable players this week, and that means you're going to see them probably out there for sure. Jaron Johnson is going to take the place of Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor is apparently out. Carpenter is out. Stephen Schilling is still out. Malcolm Smith is still out. But we are getting back Jaron Johnson, it looks like. We are getting back Max Unger. It looks like O'Brien Schofield is going to be okay. Jordan Hill looks like he will probably play. Russell Okung's probably going to play. Doug Baldwin, Marshawn Lynch, and Michael Bennett. All a little banged up, but looks like they will get a chance to play. That's wonderful news, Will, is it not?
It is huge. I mean, getting Unger and Okung back, Russell Wilson might actually have a little bit of time in the pocket for a change. Doug Baldwin, I mean, he's been our best receiving threat this year. Jerron Johnson, I think we're going to need him with Cam Chancellor being out. And Jordan Hill, he hasn't made a lot of plays this year, but he's been getting some penetration. He's been disrupting some things there. So I'd like to see him come back, and maybe he can take that next step and get the sack or get the key pressure.
I agree. The bad news, I guess you want to call it this, it's expected right now. Still no chance of Zach Miller. Still no chance of Bobby Wagner. Mark, are we okay with the replacements for those guys, or are we hurting?
Well, I think KJ Wright is, when they slide him over, has done a nice job, and he's a solid linebacker. Zach Miller is somebody that's easy to overlook, yet he's such a big loss. I mean, if we had him, he's just kind of the security blanket for the offensive line. I guess another thing for me is I'm really curious how Okun's gonna step up. He's had some bonehead penalties, and he gets a passing grade overall since he's been on the team. He had a Pro Bowl year, but I'm really curious about him and how he responds, because we need him badly.
We do need him badly, Dustin.
I'd like to actually speak to the Wagner and primarily Wagner being out. I thought that last week Brock Cole did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
KJ Wright 2 games ago actually shifted to the middle. Felt like he was out of position. Had an okay game. Wasn't really his thing. They brought in Brock Coyle last week. Let him start in the middle, and him and KJ kind of brainchilded the whole thing and called the plays. Worked as a tandem, and KJ was more effective, and Brock Cole did a really good job. So I'm actually pretty comfortable with Brock being in there if Bobby's out.
I kind of agree with you. I thought KJ was okay in the middle, but I thought he excelled playing where he normally plays. And
yeah,
I agree with you. I thought he played a much better game last week. Will, are you okay with the tight end situation with Wilson and over Miller right now, or are we really hurting in tight end?
Well, Wilson has struggled the last few games. He got the game-winning catch against Carolina, but had some drops in that game. Had some drops in this last one. Mm-hmm. So he's got the potential. He needs to step it up. And bringing in Tony Moeaki, mm-hmm. I think I pronounced that right, but if I didn't, you guys don't know either.
No.
He's the kind of guy who it's just his only problem's been staying healthy. He's got the talent and he's got the blocking ability. So it may be too much to expect that we'll see much of him in this game, but it wouldn't surprise me over the next couple of weeks if Wilson has another rough outing or so. If we see more of the new guy.
Speaking of the new guy, Mark, before we go to break here, the new 280-pound fullback, how did you grade his performance last week against the Raiders?
Holy cow. Boy, I got to be honest, guys. As hard as he is to miss, I can't recall much about what he did.
Oh, I do.
The life of a fullback.
I do, too.
Oh,
Dustin,
I do.
Bail him out, Dustin.
From a coach's perspective, he was bad. Honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was 3 or 4 times where he let his shoulder pads get way farther than his feet and whiffed on blocks. And I can understand why they had to pick him up from somebody else's practice squad, because he was not doing what he needed to do. His fundamentals were not sound. And when they passed him the ball, he did not catch it. I was not impressed with that dude whatsoever in any aspect of the game, other than his sheer size, which if he just stands in front of somebody, they have to go around him. That was the only thing that impressed me personally.
If you're playing fullback... go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry there, bud. How many total plays did he get? Boy, I'm getting senile. I gotta check my medication or something.
He played quite a few plays in the first half, and then if you notice, they phased him out later in the game because he was now making the plays. They went back to Bobby Wagner. I'm sorry. Robert Turbin being in there with Krista Michael or with Marshawn Lynch. if you look later in the game, the big old dude, he didn't play a whole lot.
The big old dude.
Yeah.
Will, what was your thought of the big old dude?
Well, by the third quarter, I was wondering if he could play left guard.
Oh, God, yeah.
That would have been refreshing. I don't know. I didn't see the horribblness that Dustin saw, but I wasn't wowed by him either. I saw him in the first round and usually a first down in the drive, it seemed like. And it seemed like he, at least like he said, he threw that big body in front of people, if nothing more. I'm not a fan of Marshawn Lynch running without someone in front of him hitting somebody. That's just me, and it seems like they like to go a lot of single back even before Coleman got hurt. So they're apparently happy with letting him do that. But it seems like he always runs his best with somebody in front of him, at least drawing an attention to him. I don't know.
I think it depends on the design of the play.
Yeah.
Now, if you're working a play where you're expecting the tight end on one side and the receiver on one side to block, then Marshawn's okay without the fullback to block for him. Problem is, right now we have Luke Wilson, who, if he stands static and tries to block, gets blown up. If he's in motion, moving his feet, tries to block, he does okay. And then this last game, we had Paul Richardson a few times on the same side as Luke Wilson. And on one of the screen passes, Richardson got called for the hold, which, by the way, I thought was BS, but that's besides the point. You can't have those guys on the same side, in all honesty, and expect a positive result. If you're going to have guys in mismatched positions and put them in spots where you want them to succeed, you have to put them on side with somebody that's not as good at the spot matched up with somebody who excels at the spot. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I feel like a lot of this stuff is schematically not productive, and it's frustrating to watch. And I see that in stadium. In stadium, when I'm watching these games, I recognize it before snap, and I'm like, oh my God, why are they doing this? And a lot of times I walk away asking for the beer guy for another beer because I'm not liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So
it happens. I think at this point, I think we're ready to take a break of the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
We'll finish up the third quarter right now, and we will come back to the fourth quarter. We'll have our keys to the game, and then at the 2-minute warning, we will do our predictions, our prognostication, and game balls. And we'll do that right after this quick station identification.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
We're great, and you suck. We're great, and you suck. We're great, and you suck. You see, there's us, and then there's you. You suck.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice, the 12th Man Fan Jam, and welcome to the fourth and final quarter of a very special giant edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the Seahawk, the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity, and with me is my posse. That is Statsman Mark, that is Shadowhawk Will, and that's X-Ray Hawk Dustin. And we are going to talk about a key to the game, our upcoming game this Sunday against the New York Football Giants. And we're going to start with Will. Will, what do you think is the biggest key for the game on Sunday for the Seahawks to win?
Just getting into a rhythm on offense. I mean, I think our defense will do a decent job against New York. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but I would just like to see this offense. And, obviously they're not going to score on every drive. They're going to have drives that don't. I would just like to see 4 quarters of consistent offensive production from this team. And I think if we can do that, I think that's a great sign moving forward. And if we do that, I think we've got this game in the bag.
Very good. Very good. Dustin, what do you think is the key to this game?
I think it's similar to what Will was saying. I'd call it rhythm, personally. I think Russell Wilson would call it staying on time. We have to make the plays. We need to play early and keep in like third and short, things like that. Penalties hurt. We just need to stay on time, keep doing what the Seahawks offense wants to do, and then we'll be all right. Because honestly, in our stadium, the defense should be all right, and we have plenty of starters coming back. So I just want to see the offense stay on time, keep in rhythm, and do some things that we haven't really seen on a consistent basis this year, which kind of feeds into what Will was saying. We just stick with what we do, stay consistent, and we'll be okay.
All right. Mark, you agree, disagree? What are your keys?
I do. I'm pretty much going to echo the offensive side of the ball and the thoughts from Will and Dustin, and that is that, we're facing a giant secondary that was already challenged, before the injury to Prince. I don't know,
Amukamara.
Prince Amukamara, yeah.
Amukamara, or somebody. I think I got an email from that guy about 10 years ago saying that I had a lot of money waiting for me in a bank account.
Dude from Nigeria, yeah.
If you remember, Will, was he not the man who just got married and we had that whole story a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, Antrell Roll was saying he was playing better because he was married and finally getting laid.
Yes. The key to every game. Hey, kids, you want to be good ball players, you know what you got to do. All right.
That also goes for the UFC. Ronda Rousey also endorses that. Throwing it out there.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I just think that we, the secondary of the Giants is already weak, and we just have to exploit it. And like everyone else was saying, just establish, a nice rhythm offensively. It's been a while since we've seen it, for four quarters.
Agreed. Although I agree with you offensively, we have to get in a rhythm. Defensively, I want to see this defense do what they did last week. And I know it was a really bad Oakland team they played, but they're now statistically the fourth best defense in the league thanks to last week. They completely shut down the run last week. I like to see them. I'd like to see him get to the quarterback. I have no problem with the way the Legion of Boom has played this year. I think Sherman has had a better year this year than even last year. I think he's playing outstanding. I just would like to see the secondary get some interceptions this game. I would really like to see more than one. And I'd like to see it happen because our defensive front is getting to the quarterback. Let's get to Eli Manning. Let's put Eli Manning down 3 or 4 times in this game and get some swagger. I think the Oakland game gave his team a little swagger back. Let's get that swagger back on defense. Let's go after them in the fourth quarter like they used to do. The slow, methodical, destruction of a football team is what I'm looking for. So while we look for a slow, methodical destruction of the Giants, let's go to our 2-minute warning. Yes, we are at the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter of this 12-man fan jam, and that means it's time for our predictions, our prognostications, and game balls. I will ask each member of the posse to give me a game score. Give me something special about the game that's going to happen, some stat that's going to stand out after all is said and done, and of course, give a player a game ball and see how they do. So we will start with Will. Will, it's always a pleasure to hear from you, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
Yes. What kind of score do you have for us this evening?
I think the Seahawks are going to take this one 27-17. My prognostication plays off the fact that last week was one of the worst performances I've seen from Russell Wilson. It is not going to happen again. I think he bounces back in a big way. Throws for over 200 yards, has a passer rating over 100, gets a couple touchdowns, maybe one on the ground, I don't know. And he will get my game ball because I think he's going to bounce back and play a lot better.
All right. I think so too. We didn't talk much about him having a bad game. I think that's a good move. Let's just not talk about that game of him having a bad game because he did have a bad game. We're not used to that. It's not going to happen again, so we won't talk about it. Dustin, always great hearing from you too, my friend.
Yeah, you guys too.
What do you got for us score-wise and prognostication-wise?
I'm going to go, I'll go 31-10 Seahawks.
Ooh, all right.
Yep, and I want to say prognostication-wise, I think that Paul Richardson on special teams, he's going to go to the house. I think he's going to return one to the house this week.
Kickoff
And
return? Okay.
yep. And then game ball, I'm going to go with Earl Thomas. I think he's really going to step up big. I think he's going to lead the team in tackles, and I think he's going to have at least one interception.
Okay. Fair enough. Mark, give us a finger of the pulse of the 49er faithful out there. How's the pitchforks and the torches looking out there?
They are burning bright and just adding fuel to the fire right now.
Oh, love hearing that. You got a game score for us?
Yes, I think the Saints are yes, I think Seattle is going to, I have this one 31-20. And, it's interesting. Justin mentioned Richardson, and he was, for some reason, he's popping up in my mind, although I think he's going to have, two receiving touchdowns. I see him. I think we're going to go long, and I think Richardson's going to be on the other end of a couple long TD pass receptions. So over 100 yards and 2 touchdown catches for Richardson. I think it's a breakout game for him.
Ooh,
Nice.
does that give him the game ball?
Yes, in fact, if I give it to, I could give it to Okun. No, I'll give it to Richardson.
Okun!
Only one penalty for Okun this week. Okay. Well, I will go 31-17. Good guys, of course, because I always do. Yes. The kids didn't get their. Hey, kids, I picked the Seahawks again. All right. I always do. 31-17. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. Y'all talking about offense, and I think that's important. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to have Eli Manning not throwing 1, not throwing 2, but 3 interceptions in this game. Manning with 3 interceptions, and I'm going to go with the guy with the bad toe right now. I'm going with Bennett for my game ball. I think that Bennett is going to come up big in this game, and just like in the Super Bowl, Manning is going to see an awful lot of 72 in his face for 4 quarters. So that is my prediction, prognostication, and game ball. Wow! Holy cow! Was this not an amazing show? And it looks like it's time, sadly, to bring another wonderful and amazing 12th Man Fan Jam to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us talking about the Seahawks and Giants game. As usual, it was a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. We certainly hope you laughed a little. We hope you didn't cry any, and we hope maybe, just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn this evening? Well, we learned that Howie Long likes heavy metal. We learned that Will doesn't read porn. We also learned that the Atlanta Falcons are looking for weed on Instagram. So get ready for that. And finally, we learned that Mark loves lamp. Mark, do you still love lamp?
I love lamb. Yes.
Yes, Mark loves lamp. So, on behalf of the News Hound, Shadowhawk Will, Statsman Mark, and of course X-Ray Hawk Dustin, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying, enjoy the game Sunday, and as always, go Hawks!
Go Hawks! Go Hawks! As beast.